Greetings everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bite Size History on History with Audrey D. In today's lesson, we are going to be looking at Imhotep, one of the greatest architects of ancient Egypt, and the person responsible for the very first step pyramid in ancient Egypt. Now, we are also going to be looking at his accomplishments for ancient Egypt and really why he was so important. If you like bite-sized history on History with Audrey D so far, please make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Patreon as History with Audrey D if you would like to support this channel. Let's go ahead and get into our lesson on Imhotep and his accomplishments for ancient Egypt. First up, let's go ahead and take a quick look at our standard, our learning goal, and our learning target for today's lesson. Our standard is again going to be standard 2, which is to describe the emergence of early civilizations. We are also going to have our learning goal today, which is determine the contributions of key figures from ancient Egypt, which leads us into our learning target, which is identify the contributions of Imhotep. We'll be including some key concepts such as who Imhotep was, when he lived, and what his accomplishments were for ancient Egypt and Egyptian society as a whole. Imhotep lived from 2667 to 2600 BCE and was known as a polymath, or a person who is an expert in many different areas of learning. He was a sage, vizier, architect, astrologer, and chief minister to King Djoser, who reigned from 2630 to 2611 BCE. Imhotep's name means he who comes in peace. He was also the architect of King Djoser, and although he was born a commoner, he rose to become the only Egyptian other than Amenhotep to be deified. We discussed this a bit in our lesson on Egyptian mythology when discussing the god Ptah. We find out that because of his great skill at architecture and building, Imhotep is said to be the son of Ptah. Imhotep would eventually be worshipped as a god and was tied to the Greek god of medicine Asclepius as well. Imhotep also held a number of different titles during his lifetime. Starting out as a temple priest, he became the high priest of Ptah, eventually to become known as the son of Ptah. But wait, there's more. He was also called first after the king of Upper Egypt, administrator of the Great Palace, chancellor of the king of Lower Egypt, hereditary nobleman, high priest of Heliopolis, and sculptor and maker of vases chief. Now that we've discussed the life of Imhotep, let's go ahead and take a look at some of his masterful accomplishments for ancient Egypt and how this might have molded Egyptian culture and society. Imhotep may have started out as a temple priest, however he rose through the ranks to become a number of high positions. One of Imhotep's most well-known accomplishments was the construction of Djoser's temple. Imhotep changed the traditional mastaba style of temple and burial place of the kings to a four-sided square-bottomed step pyramid. He figured out that this style of architecture, along with the way the blocks were placed, as well as the use of limestone blocks instead of dried mud, would increase the structural integrity of the building. This was the very first step pyramid in ancient Egypt. The step pyramid in Saqqara actually still holds an important place as a milestone of architecture in Egyptian history. Imhotep also accomplished a number of medical innovations. He is believed to be the author of the Edwin Smith Papyrus, which is an Egyptian medical text that holds close to 100 anatomical terms. This same text is linked to a military field manual that is believed to have been used in the 1600 BCE era. This is also not during Imhotep's life, but it reflects the use of his work long after his death. There are very few magical remedies in this text, which makes it different from most other ancient medical texts. Each injury or ailment is described and a diagnosis is made through a rational chain of reasoning, with a treatment, prognosis, and notes to explain it. Imhotep's medical exams are described very similarly to what we would receive from a doctor in present day. These innovations still had a hint of the traditional methods of medicine, as can be seen in the 8 magic spells and chants for healing located on the back of the papyrus. However, his improvement to medical practice led the way for future generations. As we have learned, Imhotep earned his place in the hierarchy of Egyptian society through becoming highly educated and innovative. His design and implementation of the step pyramid at Saqqara created the path for the famous pyramids, monuments, and temples that Egypt is famous for today. That wraps it up for today's episode on Imhotep and how he influenced ancient Egypt. Now, I hope you enjoyed our lesson today, and if you did, please make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified every time I have a new episode. Also, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Patreon. And if you have any questions or if you have any specific people you'd like me to cover in history, please make sure you leave those questions or comments down in the comment section below, and I will do my best to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in our next lesson.